Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anissa Kafia and I am as a first speaker in affirmative group. And my partner as a first speaker in affirmative group is Anissa Alia, Intan Angelina, and Muhammad Aziz Fikri. In this topic, I will describe first about THBT television teach violence to children. Television is a tool used by everyone as a means of entertainment. The television connoisseurs are not only from among adults but also from among children. Broadcast content in television have a variety of what in terms of film, cartoons, and so on. Television has a lot of fun, especially to entertain the audience. But behind that all, television has a negative side that can educate children. In films on television, there are many films with the theme of violence as well as comedy series that make the audience laugh by hitting their co-stars. This can affect children's thinking. Children can be affected by this. They will be influenced to commit violence as well. And there is already evidence that shows that the child killed his young brother because he watched a movie on television. The TV series Dexter that took its toll, not a murder that happened because it was inspired by the film that is 17 years old, a sadistic teenager named Andrew Conley. He strangled his sister, Connor, who was only 10 years old. The younger brother was strangled for 20 minutes and after that was wrapped in a garbage bag and dumped in the parking lot near their house in Rising Sun, India, Thursday, 16 September 2010. It is a testament to the negative effects caused by watching television. To prevent this from happening again, parents must be able to educate and control television series for their children. And that's my argument. And I said thank you, and I will close. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
My name is Rosturianti as the first speaker of the opposite team. My role is to rebut, give statement, and solution. And then my second speaker will continue with her rebut and give her data and statement as well. And lastly, my third speaker will rebut the government team. First of all, about your statement that said parents must be educated and control television. Yes, they must. And what happened to the boy you're talking about is because of the parents, not television. So you see, television programs already have an age guideline. So the parents should know whether or not the movie or the series that the child are watching is suited for them or not. Other than that, the parents must act wise and know what the children can watch, so they're small to non-tragedy like as above. Our team have a solution. There's a lot of way you can control what the children are watching by using smart television. Or for cheaper option, you can use a television program that is adjustable so it can suit your family needs. So the child can have a barrier and line where they can watch their own movies or television show. And other member of the family can watch their television series too. My statement is that the television program didn't cause violence or teach children bad things. Before they even can be watched on television, the movies and series go into a filter and have an age line. The problem here is the adult must teach and guide the children so they can have a good content. Don't take the television as a bad thing because the fault in this situation is the people who watch and who can access it. That is my statements and everything I said my second speaker will continue my speech. Thank you very much.
But can we limit the children's view with the parents don't? Maybe they will still watch movie or television shows that have minimum age of 18 and over without our knowledge. It all depends on the child himself. As a parent, you also have another business and job that you can't control your children 24 hours a day. The access that children get today is also very transparent because it is a modern era. And children will imitate whatever they see on television. The number of violent scenes that affect the way they talk and socialize in the future. Social science research conducted over the past 14 years support the conclusion that viewing violent television programming has negative consequences for children. And the research suggests three areas in which watching violent television program can impact young viewers. First one is media violence can encourage children to learn aggressive behavior and attitudes. The second one is media violence can cultivate fearful and pessimistic attitude in children about the non-television world. And the last is media violence can desensitize children to real world and fantasy violence. According to Aaron, 1992, there can no longer be any doubt that heavy exposure to television violence is one of the causes of aggressive behavior, crime, and violence in society. The evidence comes from both the laboratory and real-life studies. Television violence affects youngest of all ages, of both genders, at all socio-economic levels, and all levels of intelligence. The effect is not limited to children who are already disposed to being aggressive, and it is not restricted to this country.
Viewing, nak?
Viewing.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Deangela Fitri. I'm second opposition speaker. First of all, I'm going to rebut the government theory. But can we limit children's viewing with the praise done? Maybe they will still watch movie or television show that have a minimum age of 18 years. Does anyone still watch the sort of thing on television? Each episode that was told before the film began that it was announced that the film which was shown past the censor and unworthy impression were cut so that minors could see it too. First, the government said that media violence can encourage children to learn aggressive behavior and attitudes. But behavior and attitude, especially for kids nowadays, is not because television for movie. It because of their friends circle and environment around them. Second, they said that media violence can cultivate fearful or pessimistic attitudes in children about the non-television world. But for any kind of behavior that causes the child to insecure or fearful is not because of what they watch. There's no kind of triggering movie that can make children's mind become autistic or syndromized. Third, they said that media violence can desensitize children to real world and fantasy violence. But according to the TICCOM news in recent years, it has been found that nowadays many people spend more time staring at a smartphone screen than a television screen. Nor can they have a fantasy if kids themselves rarely watch television. And last, They said that according to Aaron, which say that there can no longer be any doubt that heavy exposure to televised violence is one of the causes of aggressive behavior, crime, and violence in society. But if the child is noticed by a parent when watching television, such a thing as violence doesn't take place, and after all the majority of boys prefer playing their cell phone on a game rather than watching television. And examples, I found the article in the Grid Game ID say that the result of survey suggests that 26% of the younger the generation in the United States prefer playing games as their media consumption preference. In fact, 87% of gaming enthusiasts in the United States claim that they regularly play games in 1 week. My statement is all television doesn't teach violence of children if under parent supervision, because in watching television a child needs supervision. If not supervised, then the child is likely to emulate what he or she displays as violent in television would have a hook impact. An example, I found the article in the Pusdatin Kembaskes Go ID is the rise in the number of deaths from suicide according to the World's Data and Health Ministry information. The number of deaths from suicide worldwide is approaching 100,000 each year, nearly one death every 40 seconds. That example is the mental stress that violence of his or her friends causes from watching television without parental supervision. Okay, that's enough. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Intin Angelina. I'm the speaker's affirmative host about television teach violence to children. Question about Cats Up scan on the some TV show and their connection to a lot of real-life violence have come back to the fore. A reference may be the some where violence show which by children can affect their behavior but now and in the future, especially if you and your partner are both working busy parents. It can be difficult to find plenty of time to sit down and watch TV with your kids. So how can parents ensure that their children watch variety show? 1. Control of TV show content. Various cable TV providers now provide service that can help you block to content that you don't want to. Watch out for advertisements on TV too. You already control the contents of the show on TV, but you need to know that there are also many bad and layered advertisements on TV. 3. Watch your own show when you and your partner are getting ready to go to work and your kids are leaving for school. Parents often tune in the news. 4. Mutual offense between children and parents. You can always control what your child is watching while he or she see out a friend's house, or maybe you call your child and ask if he watching any bit which will or make him uncomfortable.
Children who watch violent shows are more likely to be violent, and argue that children who do not watch the show and whose parents participate in the supervision of their children in watching television have been said to be good for integrating their children's behavior and attitudes. This can be done by providing instruct children about what they are watching and teaching about it. And every television station that is broadcast does not mean that there is no benefit in teaching for all to watch this story, such as about story that make fight scan or violence. Nothing is conveyed from the story. From that, we can judge the violent people usually do things that have different opinion and other things from there, so they can to fight scan in there can be expected when different opinion to others. We can exchange idea first and communicate with each other and others. However, all forms of violence that appear in everyday life are certainly not only caused by television. There are other factors that also influence the audience view of the world, and their lies to accept that the picture of the world on television turns out to be a picture of the real world. For example, the experience of violence that occurs in the family or the influence of the environment where the audience interact on a daily basis, so that in-depth research is needed related to the impact of violent television show in order to obtain patterns as well as factors that can trigger potential acts to violence in the show, and find effective ways to prevent and overcome them.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Muhammad Aziz Fikri. As the last speaker, I agree with the argument. She said television has a negative side that can educate children in violence. On television, there are many films with the theme of violence as well as comedy series that make the audience laugh by hitting their co-star. This can affect children thinking. Children can be affected by this. They will be influenced to commit violence as well. Based on research from 2006 to the end of 2009, it was relevant that 68% of the shows on the 13 largest television station contained violence. Many cases in Indonesia were killed by his friend because of watching the SmackDown series. For example, the case of Reza, the victim who allegedly died, was SmackDown by 3 of his friends. And Alan Dwi Kurniaga, who was only 3 years old, died after being made the object of the SmackDown teammate. So parents have to filter what their children watch, so they can choose what they can be watched or not. That's all. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.